Hello and welcome back to my channel. I hope you're well and having a beautiful day. In today's video we're going to get started and drive straight into it. So we'll be making a scrap project and I'll be using some leftover half square triangles cut from a project that I made recently. So in today's video we'll be using some scraps which I'm going to show you, me digging into my bins, etc., and getting them out and using whatever is there. So just to make it a little bit more natural in sort of building the idea, working from scraps to create something that is a masterpiece and beautiful to look at. It's going to be a table runner, so I hope you get up some ideas to use up some of your scraps. Now before we move on any further, just to alert you to the fact that I'll be starting a block of the month and it starts on February the 14th and we'll be doing it for 7 months, okay? Also, it only costs $12 and that's just $12 you pay for the entire time. There will be a link in the description box for that particular details and everything you need to find out about the blocks, etc. It is beginner friendly. Please note you don't have to go and buy any fat quarters, even if that's what you want to use. That's entirely down to you. However, you can use scraps, large pieces of scraps. So for example, if you've got scraps sizes of this nature, will be absolutely perfect. All right, so we'll be making the blocks every month, so you'll have a month to complete those particular blocks, and then when the next video is uploaded you should be ahead of yourself because you've had a lot more time to make the block, and we will obviously go through the whole process of making the whole quilt together. Okay, but as I said, it starts on February the 14th. I'm really excited about it. This is the first time I've done a block of the month and actually charged for it. You're only paying $12. Sign up in the link description and the description box down below and it will take you where you obviously pay and put in your details, your name, your address, etc., and then most importantly your email address so that I can make sure that is accurate, please, so that I will then obviously send you your patterns before before we get started. All right, so February 14th is the start day and you will receive your first block before that particular date of starting. I'm really excited about it, as I said, and I have researched some beautiful blocks that I think is going to be able to stretch your talents. All right, so let's get started into the table runner. Remember, we're using scraps, and if you've got hard square triangles left around that you haven't used this yet, or you're wondering what to do with them, hopefully today I will entice you to use them. And you've got strips, leftover pieces such as this, which will be beautiful to use because we're going to cut. I also have some random odd size of squares that I'm going to use, and this is going to be perfect for what I'm actually thinking about. I love thinking on the spots with my scrap ideas because obviously it's not a pattern, isn't it? I am just working with feelings. All right, so let's dive into it right now. Sewing together the half square triangles left over from this project. They are now scraps. Let's go lay it out now. Working with the pattern now, so diamonds form, okay, up and down, up and down, up and down, and then I've used 2 to literally put it at the bottom or the top. Okay, so I've stitched all of the blocks together. Now let's iron the block here. Once we've ironed the block, what we need to do is to trim it up and make sure all the blocks are the same size. Okay, so currently here where I'm at, so the whole quilt is going to be made with the scraps. Okay, so even these white strips here, they are all scraps, okay, left over from a quilt, and all I'm going to be doing is sewing it around to make a border. So I'm going to sew it into one long strip and then obviously add it on. Okay, now I've got some squares here as well that I can use. I'm going to use some white background as well. And I've got this last piece of square that I found. I do like the color. However, it's got a little bit of the salvage in it, but I'm not going to remove it. I'm going to leave it, all right? Because by the time it goes into the 1/4 inch, it's going to be half of that visually shown. So I'm not too worried about that. And I'm going to add some more scrappy squares in between. I'm just laying it out to give myself a visual to see what what I'm happy with. I'm a little bit unsure about the white but I don't want to add another color just as yet. I think it looks very wide, but at the same time, you know, all of these spots here are going to be filled in with other scraps of squares. So it will raise the profile and balance out the white. So don't worry about that. At least I'm trying to convince myself. I am going to leave the white corners, however. I think that will be good. Or I may interchange. Again, it's a scrappy one, so I'm just playing it as I feel. So that's it. So that's where I'm at. I'm going to be looking for some more scraps into my bin here. So this is my scrap bin of larger pieces where I will have like squares and everything else in this bin. So I'm going to shuffle it a bit more and see. So a lot of them is already like kind of in the size. Okay, it may not be neat, but trust me, it's like, you know, in the size that I can use. So this is perfect as well. So I can cut that down. Again, saving me some time. Hence the reason why I take the time to do this, to cut them into the squares and use them, which makes life a bit easier. Or go into my bigger bin and see what's what. Okay, when I say bigger bin, bigger pieces of scraps, that may possibly help also. Right, so that is it. This is my random block area. So like random pieces of blocks I will have in this one here. I am seeing some fabric I can use. So this will be good. I can cut that down and add it. So you get the idea. Oh, this is strip. What's that doing there? All right, so that is the idea. I'm going to get some squares, open up all these boxes here and see what's what, and look at it bigger. That was a nice purple, so I can use that. That goes in. Okay, and cut that down. So, oh, perfect. Perfect. All right, so you get the idea of what to do. All right, so I have done some ideas that I need to add on here. I have these strips of white, as you know, so I am thinking of incorporating it. I'll start again. Right, so strips of white, strips of pieces of squares. What is wrong with my brain today? As well as a diamond here. I am going to reuse the diamond, or recut it I should say, and get that square out of there, so I can get that. All right, the leftover squares, I'm going to incorporate it into the block. So the problem is, well, the issue I should say, I'm not sure how I want to incorporate it. I could reduce this into half, making it smaller, and then put it into the block like so. That is my objective. Remember here, I am not planning. This is a, you know, as you go sort of idea, and to see what it comes out with. I do like working like that. I just think it really extends my creativity, and it doesn't give me, you know, I don't have to preempt anything. So I'm thinking if I put like a 1-inch strip in between, because I've added a border here already. So if I put a 1-inch strip in between to see what it looks like, I could also cut it in half here and make it smaller, which I think might work better. I'm not sure how many borders I'm going to go around this, but I'm do liking the idea of reusing a lot as possible. So I'm thinking if I fold that square in half and make it smaller, it may look better that way. Give it sort of a checkered look. I'm looking in the camera to see what it looks like. Let me turn it this way. I mean, this is how I build my scraps. I just play along with it and see how it registers in my brain. Because visual appeal is important, isn't it? We see things we like first. So if I do that, I'm thinking this would work better. All right, so what I could do is use a whole square as is, or I trim it down, which I think I'm liking the trim down effect rather than the whole block, which in a sense will allow me to get more trimmings out of my scrap pieces here. I've also gone for looking for a wider border that I can actually use as my final border. This one is a mixture of different ones here. Not sure if I'll use that. I also found this in my strip box, which I love the color. It's nice and light. Nice light blue and white, and it folds nicely. I think it will work nicely with the quilt, well, the table runner. So that's where I am at the moment. I've also found these as well. I think I should be able to get a square out of this. Yes, just, even if I cut it in half, which is probably smaller, should be able to fit more out of it. So I think that will work. This one here is okay as well. I can work with that. It's a bit light, but I will see if I can fit it in. I also found these squares here, because remember, I do keep my strips and my larger pieces of scraps separate. I always tend to get larger pieces of scraps. So I could use this as well. I do like that purple. It's a little bit strong, but I think it will work, especially in contrast with this particular color up here. So that's it. I do have some smaller pieces of Christmas ones, but I don't really want to use that, to be honest. I don't want to add any Christmas to it. So I'm going to go ahead, cut up some of these. I think I will go ahead with the smaller strips. So I'll trim these background white down. And all of this is scraps. This is nothing here is fresh fabric being cut. You know, if scraps always amaze me. I could never stop saying that because it so easily comes together, and the colors is just usually so vibrant. So may also go with this one. I do like this. I think this will play nicely as well for a rectangle in the border. All right, so let's get to some cutting now. This beautiful table quilt measures 48 by 26. It looks absolutely gorgeous. This is SCRAPS, amazingly so. Now, I know you would notice that I made a little bit of a different change when it came to the layout of the center here. Okay, remember I had the white right against the patchwork, and the patchwork is formed with the diamond and then the arrow, diamond, arrow. So I did that particular movement with it, and you can see the transition of the white in between that movement. However, I felt after the layout that the white was too close and it looked a little bit too white, just white. So I decided was to add this particular print in there, which I think corresponded with the other colors within the strips, and I think that worked. Then I followed up with the same size here. I made a larger border of a piano border, and I used that fabric that I mentioned here where it had the selvage, and to be honest, I kind of like the look that it gives there. Overall, very beautiful. I finished with the same size as there. It looks a bit smaller, obviously, because the edges are now covered with the binding. The binding followed through with the same fabric there. But overall, very beautiful. I do like the white piano keys that it gives off rather than using a different color. I think the white helped to balance it off. Notice I also changed the color concept. In the corner initially I was thinking of using white, but each corner I went for the squares that I initially thought that I wanted to use, which looks awesome. And I think it ties it in and it reduced the overall appearance of just too much white. The colors are very well balanced. It's a beautiful summer project, and I think beautiful for also a barbecue table, which really upscales the area that you're going to be using. It can be used also indoors to help, you know, upscale your home also, but I think it looks absolutely awesome. I did a large meandering for this, and I think it actually works on this particular one. I went in again and used a white polyester thread, embroidery thread, and you can see the shine on it. It comes about really beautifully, especially on these particular colors here. It really shines up nice, and on that green flutter fabric. Remember guys, this is scraps. If this doesn't give you an inclination to actually save your scraps, then I don't know what else will remind you to do so. But it turns out really beautifully. The size fits on the garden table here really nicely, and I think it works. On the back I use scrap also, and I use a beautiful floral for all of the scraps. So I range from the black and I move down to this really vibrant one and settled here, and again with the same tones, and I think that's nice. Floral is actually in for this year 2025, and when I say floral I mean really vibrant. Floral is actually one of the keynotes tones to look out for this year, for 2025. But it looks absolutely gorgeous, and I love the way that I've carried through all of that tones throughout. It looks absolutely gorgeous. What do you think? Share with me down below if you'd like to make this project. I would link a pattern because I did take some pictures as I was going along for you if you'd like to make one in particular like this. So if you've got half square triangles and you've got loads of scraps of the sizes that I just demonstrated, you can certainly make this project. It's going to be a free project because at the end of the day, you're not buying any fabric, are you? You're just using what you have in your stash. And I just love that zigzag you get with the white there. And you can use any colors, but this is what I had left over from all of the quilts that I've made, and I can see the quilts that I've made from just looking at the scrap fabrics here. Beautiful, gorgeous, comes together really nicely, very summery, very vibrant, you know, just to lighten and brighten up the area. It looks awesome. I think it's very much suited for literally in the in the garden or on the barbecue table, you know, where you're going to be sitting out and chilling. I think it looks really, really awesome. So let me know what you think down below. I'd love to hear your feedback and how you feel about the finished product and what you would do differently. I think it looks really, really good. Let me know what you would do. So with that being said, I'm going to let you go, and then you can decide what you think of this particular project.